When tourists walk into the Chiesa di San Francesco della Vigna in Venice, Italy, most have no idea they're about to encounter one of the strangest relics in Europe. Hidden inside the church is a glass coffin containing what many believers claim is the body of a Christian saint who died nearly 1700 years ago. Her name is Saint Cristina. At first glance, the body appears disturbingly intact. The face, the hands, even the shape of the corpse itself. For generations, pilgrims have been told they are looking at an incorrupt saint, a body that somehow resisted decay for centuries, nearly 300 miles away. Another church in Italy also claims to possess the relics of Saint Cristina. And the deeper investigators look into the history of the body in Venice, the stranger the mystery becomes. Because some historians believe the figure inside the coffin may not actually be an incorrupt body at all. The skin appears artificial, the face resembles wax, and almost nobody seems able to explain exactly what parts of the figure are real and what parts may have been reconstructed centuries later. So what exactly is inside the Venetian coffin? An incorrupt saint? An elaborate medieval effigy? Or a relic so altered by time that the original body has become impossible to separate from the legend itself? Tonight, we investigate one of the most disturbing and misunderstood relics in Italy. According to ancient Christian tradition, Saint Cristina lived during the 3rd century, at a time when Christianity was still illegal throughout much of the Roman Empire. She was allegedly born into a wealthy pagan family in the eastern Mediterranean city of Tyre. Her father, according to the legend, was a Roman governor devoted to the old gods. As Christina grew older, her father reportedly intended for her to become a pagan priestess. He placed her inside a private chamber filled with gold and silver idols and instructed her to worship them. But something unexpected happened. While isolated among the statues, Christina reportedly began questioning the gods surrounding her. Ancient accounts say she became convinced that a single invisible God had created the universe. The God preached by Christians spreading throughout the empire despite violent persecution. Eventually, Christina secretly converted to Christianity. Then, she committed an act that would seal her fate. According to the tradition, she smashed the idols in her chamber and distributed the pieces of the gold and silver to the poor. For her father, this was not only religious rebellion, it was humiliation. What followed resembled many early Christian martyr accounts. Different versions describe Christina being beaten, imprisoned, burned, thrown into the sea, and tortured repeatedly after refusing to renounce Christianity. Some accounts claim she miraculously survived multiple execution attempts before finally dying from her wounds. Like many ancient martyr stories, separating history from legend is difficult. The surviving texts were written generations later and accumulated miraculous details over time. But whether entirely historical or partially legendary, devotion to Saint Cristina spread rapidly throughout medieval Christianity. Churches were dedicated to her, relics attributed to her appeared across Europe, and pilgrims traveled to sites connected with her martyrdom. What nobody could have imagined was that centuries later, multiple churches would claim possession of her remains. And one of those churches would display a mysterious body in a glass coffin that still provokes debate today. Today, visitors entering San Francesco della Vigna often find themselves standing before a reclining female figure identified as Saint Cristina. At first glance, the sight is unsettling. The body appears almost intact, a face beneath a veil, hands folded peacefully across the chest, skin still visible after what should have been nearly 17 centuries. To many pilgrims, the conclusion seems obvious. They're looking at an incorrupt saint. But the moment investigators look closer, the mystery deepens. Unlike famous incorrupt saints, such as Saint Bernadette, Saint Christina's body in Venice has an almost artificial appearance. The face appears unusually smooth. The skin resembles wax. The hands seem partially reconstructed. And no widely available forensic examination clearly explains what portions of the figure are original human remains and what portions may have been added centuries later. That uncertainty has fueled speculation for years. Some believe the body beneath the glass is genuinely incorrupt. Others argue the visible figure is actually an elaborate devotional effigy constructed around skeletal relics. Historically, that would not be unusual. Throughout Catholic Europe, churches often created lifelike displays for saints whose body no longer survived intact. Bones and relics could be placed beneath wax masks, sculpted hands, embroidered garments, and full-body reconstructions designed to present the saint in recognizable human form. To modern visitors, these displays can easily resemble preserved corpses even when they are not, and that raises an uncomfortable question. What exactly is inside Saint Cristina's Venetian coffin? That mystery becomes even more complicated once researchers discover that Venice is not the only church claiming to possess the body of Saint Cristina. Hundreds of miles away, another Italian basilica insists the true relics are there instead. And unlike Venice, that church is associated with one of the most famous Eucharistic miracles in Catholic history. Roughly 300 miles south of Venice, in the town of Bolsena, another church tells a very different story about Saint Cristina. According to local tradition, this, not Venice, is where the true relics of the saint have rested for centuries. The church is known as the Basilica of Saint Cristina. Local tradition identifies Bolsena as the site of her martyrdom, and beneath the church are ancient catacombs and relic chapels associated with her cult. But what transformed Bolsena into one of Italy's most important pilgrimage destinations was something else entirely: a Eucharistic miracle. According to Catholic tradition, in 1263, a German priest traveling through Bolsena was struggling with doubts about the real presence of Christ in the Eucharist. While celebrating Mass inside the church, the consecrated host allegedly began to bleed onto the altar cloths. The event reportedly shocked witnesses and eventually came to the attention of Pope Urban IV in nearby Orvieto. The miracle became so influential that it contributed to the establishment of the Feast of Corpus Christi throughout the Catholic Church. To this day, the relic associated with the miracle remains one of the most famous Eucharistic relics in the world. And for believers, the miracle lends additional credibility to Bolsena's claim. After all, if one of Catholicism's most famous Eucharistic miracles occurred there, could the Basilica also truly possess the authentic relics of Saint Cristina? That creates a serious problem for the claims made in Venice, because if Bolsena possesses the principal relics of the saint, then what exactly is resting inside the Venetian coffin? Are both churches preserving different portions of the same martyr? Did relics become divided over centuries as they often did throughout medieval Europe? Or did competing traditions slowly emerge until two churches each became convinced they possessed the true body of Saint Cristina? The deeper the investigation goes, the harder it becomes to separate history, devotion, legend, and reconstruction. At the center of the mystery lies one question: what are visitors actually looking at inside the Venetian coffin? For centuries, pilgrims have encountered what appears to be the preserved body of a young saint. But modern viewers immediately notice something unusual. Unlike scientifically examined incorrupt saints whose preserved flesh is clearly visible, Saint Cristina's body has an almost theatrical appearance. The face appears smooth, almost too smooth. The skin resembles wax. The body is concealed beneath elaborate garments and decoration. But the glass coffin in Venice isn't the only one on display. Other lifelike wax effigies of Saint Cristina can be found in churches around the world. This one, for example, is housed in a church in Brazil. Like the Venetian display, It presents a remarkably realistic image of the 3rd century martyr, raising the same question: are we looking at an incorrupt body or an artistic reconstruction built around sacred relics? To some observers, the answer seems obvious. This is not an incorrupt body, but a devotional reconstruction. And historically, there is good reason to think that may be true. Throughout Italy, Austria, Germany, and Eastern Europe, churches developed traditions of creating lifelike saintly displays using ancient relics. Skeletal remains could be arranged beneath wax masks and richly embroidered clothing to create the appearance of an intact body. Some became known as catacomb saints, elaborate reliquary displays constructed around ancient bones believed to belong to early Christians. This may explain why Saint Christina's body in Venice is so difficult to categorize. The coffin may contain authentic relics associated with the saint, while the visible figure itself may have been heavily reconstructed over centuries. And perhaps that ambiguity is exactly why the mystery continues. Because even after centuries, nobody seems fully certain where the historical Saint Cristina ends and where the legend begins. Nearly 1,700 years after her death, Saint Cristina remains surrounded by uncertainty. In Venice, pilgrims stand before a glass coffin containing a mysterious figure many believe to be incorrupt. But the closer the body is examined, the more difficult it becomes to determine exactly what visitors are seeing. A preserved corpse? Ancient relics hidden beneath a devotional reconstruction? Or a centuries-old combination of both? Meanwhile, in Bolsena, another church claims to possess the true relics of the saint, a claim strengthened, at least for believers, by its connection to one of the most famous Eucharistic miracles in Catholic history. And maybe that's why the mystery endures. Because the world that produced these relics belonged to a very different age, an age of pilgrims, martyrs, miracles, relic traders, and medieval devotion. Bodies were moved and relics were divided. Stories evolved, and over centuries, history and legend slowly merged together. Today, the figure resting inside the Venetian coffin exists somewhere between archaeology, faith, art, and mystery. And somewhere beneath the wax, fabric, relics, and centuries of devotion, there may still rest the remains of a girl who once defied the Roman Empire. If you found this story interesting, please hit the like button. And if you'd like to hear more stories like this, please subscribe.